There. I'd like now to reach out. Well, I guess I'm a Californian, but basically I'm from Northern California. I represent a district in the San Francisco Bay Area, east of the San Francisco Bay. But there's another part of California that is rather big. That would be the Los Angeles Basin. And specifically joining me from Orange County is the gentlewoman from Orange County, Loretta Sanchez. Could you talk to us about what's happening there and about the nature of the economy and the jobs situation?
Absolutely. Well, I live in an incredibly wonderful area called Orange County, the OC, that many of you have seen on television before. It's not clearly the way that's depicted there, but it is a beautiful place. We're the home of Disneyland, of the Anaheim Angels. We have one of the largest concert arenas in the nation. We also have a beautiful coastline that so many people want to come to in Newport Beach and Laguna Beach, and it's just a very, very special place. But the housing issue affected Orange County in a dramatic way. We had in Orange County 4 of the 6 largest subprime lenders were located right there across the nation were in Orange County. So almost overnight, we lost 40,000 jobs just to the housing issue. Well, I would like to let people know that it was reported in today's Los Angeles Times that housing is coming back in California. And it noted, of course, this whole tax issue. Because my wonderful colleague from the northern portion of our state noted the tax cuts that we had in the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act in particular. For people who say that Democrats, and I am a Democrat, never like tax cuts, that's just not true. The fact of the matter, in the stimulus package and in the American Recovery Act, we actually had 1/3 of the monies go to tax cuts. But we put them to specific areas to help people get an education, to help them keep their homes, to help them encourage them to buy homes, to keep the economy going. And so today we have found in the newspaper that there is a 7.2% jump in Southern California home sales. And Orange County, out of any place in the nation, leads the way in selling homes, putting homes on the market, getting new families excited to get into these new homes. Yes, a lot of the people that I represent have lost their homes. Right next door, there's a foreclosure to my home. And so it is difficult. But in order to keep people in their homes, we've also passed legislation that would help modify some of those home loans so that people would actually get a chance to stay in their home. And if they did have to leave their home before we could get somebody else in to buy that home, we also passed funds to help cities. For example, $10 million and $6 million to the cities of Santa Ana and Anaheim that I represent to make sure that homes were taken care of as we transitioned them from one family or person to the next. So we have actually passed quite a few pieces of legislation that have helped the housing market. In helping the housing market, this is beginning to create some of the jobs that we see, especially in Orange County. So I'm so glad that my colleague has taken this hour to talk a little bit about how slowly we are beginning to come back and the effects of that very important piece of legislation we passed a year ago, the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, and the additional pieces that we have passed to help.
I thank you so very much for talking about down home and what's going on there. I will note that the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, which the economists suggest has created 2.8 million jobs, provided the largest middle tax cut ever, did the infrastructure, streets, roads, sanitation facilities, and renewable green energy programs. Not one Republican voted for that.
Absolutely, and if my colleague will give me just a little bit more time, I will say to him, we have felt that in Orange County. $2.2 billion for the first piece of the high-speed rail that will connect Anaheim all the way up to San Francisco to your area. That $2.2 billion given to the Anaheim-Los Angeles portion of that high-speed rail. So looking to the future, other pieces of that legislation, research in the greening of America, research in new technologies for energy independence, and also research and to change over our hospitals to electronic filing rather than to have paperwork being shuffled between doctors. So it carried a lot of future-looking pieces. And, of course, when you look at innovation, that is what California is about. That is what's going to lead us out of a bad economy. And that is what we will, in fact, sell to the rest of the world after we establish those new areas of innovation.
I thank you for bringing up the question of innovation and research. It was a very big portion of that. I'm going to come back a little later to another piece of legislation that has passed this House, yet to pass the Senate. But with regard to the American Reinvestment and Recovery Act, once again, it was the Democrats that carried the ball, that shouldered the burden, and passed and provided the votes, not one Republican vote. You mentioned the home buying situation in Orange County. The first-time home buyer credit, I think it's $6,000, was made available through a piece of legislation that once again was pushed forward by the Democrats in this House and over in the Senate, and 93% of the Republicans on this floor voted against that provision that gives first-time home buyers that additional money that they needed for that down payment so they could buy that home. It goes on and on and on. One of the issues that confronts us, since we're not back where we need to be with our employment, is the unemployment insurance situation.